You explained that well. So I guess that'll take us to right into our next segment. Adam explains. Adam explains the 2025 CU recruiting outlook. And me personally, and I say it openly, I don't look too much into the future and the recruiting because I know things change so much. But this is right up your alley right here, where you can explain what's going on in the recruiting cycle and any updates or outlooks that we should have.
Yeah, you get past the regular signing period for the class of 2024 or whatever year that is, and then the next day you kind of look ahead already. That's how accelerated the calendar is. And that's me covering it. Now the coaches have really been looking ahead to the future, and that's what they did. I explained on our last show the accelerated recruiting timetable and how it used to be in the spring where you'd send out offers to the next class, which in this case is the 2025 class. Now it's so accelerated that you've identified who a lot of your top 2025 guys are now. There's going to be, especially in football, guys develop a little bit later sometimes. And so you'll still have those offers that will go out through the spring and the summer and even sometimes during the fall. But you kind of have a recruiting board at this point, whereas, 15 years ago, you'd just be starting that process. And so they only ended up signing 7 high school players in the 2024 class. I'm hearing that you can expect that number to be in the 10 to 15 range in terms of 2025 recruits that they plan to sign. So it's going to be bigger than what they did in terms of signing high school players of the 2024 class, but it will still be very small when you compare it to a lot of other Power 4 programs nationally. And I mentioned earlier, unlike last year where they had the elite underclassmen weekend in late January, and it was pretty darn cold that weekend, they've decided that they're going to have more recruits and kind of put more of the focus on hosting 2025 recruits during the spring period when they have practices and get out a lot of guys for the spring game on April 27th. And it sounds like with the event that they're going to make it, that's a great idea. Now it's a crapshoot in terms of the weather in late April. Usually May is when it kind of really officially turns here in terms of you're not quite as much worried about snow. You might occasionally get a snow in May, but your chances of having better weather, having good weather in late April are better than like last year when they hosted the event in late January. 5-star quarterback Julian Lewis from Carrollton, Georgia, is one guy to keep an eye on in the 2025 class. He's a 5-star, like I mentioned, and he's been committed to USC for a while, but he took a visit to Boulder, unofficial trip in January. And it sounds like Colorado's right in the mix there with USC, Georgia, the in-state program that seems to be competing for national championships every year. It's going to be tough to win that battle, but Colorado is right in the mix there. Montrez Walker, also from Georgia, just named CU in his list of top 5 schools yesterday. And so they've gotten a good start there. Jordan Davidson, one of the top running backs in the country, he's out of California, was out at that elite underclassmen weekend last year, and he came back out for the USC game as an unofficial visitor. He's a guy to keep an eye on. This is a guy that pretty much everybody in the country is after: Ohio State, Oregon, Texas A&M. And one other guy I want to mention here is Andrew Marsh, a receiver out of Texas who took an unofficial visit to Colorado in November, and it seemed like the Buffs made a pretty strong impression on him. He's looking around quite a bit at other schools at this point, but they've done a good job of kind of getting early attention. But it is still early, even though it's gotten an accelerated process. We've already seen Winston Watkins reopen his recruitment. He was an early 2025 pledge, and John Maurice Wilder was committed. Colorado decided to go in a different direction. So it's all kind of fluid at this point, but it's kind of it's fun to learn about these new recruits because then you get new tape to pour over. And and Chico, there were many years where Colorado didn't sign a blue chip recruit, and I'm watching film with 3-star guys going, okay, I don't really see it, but I'm not going to dog a high school kid until he comes on campus and he proves that he's not willing to play at this level. I don't have to do that anymore. The guys that Coach Prime is looking at, again, quality over quantity with high school recruiting. It's incredible to put on the highlights. I put together, I called it an ultimate highlight reel of the 2024 guys, and that's about as fun a project as I've done in a very long time, just because of how talented those guys are. And some of them will have to come in, get in the incubator, and develop a little bit. But there's some instant playmakers, I think, in this class too. And Michael Welch was criminally underrated, I think, as a 3-star guy, and is somebody that I love watching his film. He's got the dog in him. He's kind of a bowling ball type back. So
Yeah,
excited. It was fun to take that final look back at 2024 recruiting.
definitely. I like that. I appreciate that breakdown, and everybody's learning more about the 2025 class. I'll sneak this in. All right, I'll sneak this one right here, and let me add it to the stage. Uh, a class of 2026 guy that Colorado has already offered, and this is a quarterback at Thurgood Marshall High School, Missouri City, Texas, 6'6", 220 pounds. I guess this would be my big dog spotlight for recruits. All right, so class of 2026, and he's already been working with select QBs. Of course, the quarterback coach that Shadur Sanders worked with. Three sport athlete, football, basketball, and track, 5.0 GPA, AP. How do you do that? But he is the son of former NFL player Spencer Johnson, as you see right here. Spencer played defensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings, and also he came from Auburn University. It's from a small town in Alabama. I know him, so this is a little biased shout out. But the guy is a baller. Like I said, 6'6", already offered by CU.
What they were doing before saying.
And I'll play this without the audio just to see some of his movement right here, the big fella. KK Caden Johnson.
And you got to get in on those quarterbacks early, because they're usually the first off the board. Now there's, the top programs are usually only going to take one in a class, and so guys want to get their reservation made. And not only that, the quarterbacks are now about as valuable a recruiter as a lot of the assistant coaches on the staff, because they're asked, especially if they have a charismatic personality, to get out there and try to recruit other top players to join them wherever they decide to commit. So 2026, I think they've even offered some 2027 recruits. So you got to get out there early, especially with those quarterbacks.
Yeah, you made a good point there, because if you can get a quarterback who can now recruit, because they know who the good players are.
Yeah.
If they can now recruit, guys from their high school, guys they played against, even those 707 guys, because a lot of the best guys in the state come together and play 707 football together. And so they get to know each other and know what they can do. And now they can kind of pull and say, hey, coach, I think you need to look for this guy. I think you need to look for that guy. And that's exactly what it is. Like you said, get those quarterbacks in early, and now they can make those recruiting calls. And I think it'll help with him wearing his black and gold right here.
There you go.
So big guy, 6'6", 200 plus pounds already, and he ready to go. So that's my little spotlight right there. I thought about it when you said that, and I said, well, let me see what class he's in. He's 2026, not 2025, but we can still spotlight him right quick. 2K, Caden Johnson, out of Missouri City, Texas. Keep a lookout for him. All right, that's a quick little spotlight.